Welcome to How We Live podcast. My name is Colby Pete, joined as always by my co-host Pete McCoubry. This is a podcast dedicated to all things live golf in the 2024 season as we watch closely with the players, the events, the teams, and of course outside events that take place that would affect live golf. Pete, how are you this evening?
I'm doing great. Better than ever, actually. Thank you.
Better than ever. Great. Fantastic. Looks like you may have gotten a haircut tonight.
I didn't get a haircut. I just got out of the shower, which is like, the shower is kind of the cheapest haircut there is. No matter what's going on.
True. I think we want to start it off with Pete's time capsule here. Pete, you want to kick that off?
Yes, I do. I just want to say it has been 19 years since the movie The Greatest Game Ever Played was released. Shia LaBeouf. It has been 11 years since The Great Gatsby with Leonardo DiCaprio was released. And it's been 7 days since the release of the greatest golf podcast of all time was released, How We Live, starring Colby Pete and Pete McCoubry.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you so much for updating us on all those dates. Fantastic. Greatest game ever played. One that is, it goes down as far as the movies go is a good one. Maybe not the greatest, but a good one. Really, really good.
It's a really good movie. It's really good.
Was Shia LaBeouf in that one?
Yeah, Shia LaBeouf. I get that confused with The Legend of Bagger Vance.
Of course.
It's more or less the same movie.
Easy mix-up.
Yeah, but there's some cool stuff in that movie, Shia LaBeouf. I don't even know if he wins at the end.
No, I don't know either. Either way, let's tee it off, get into some more recent news here within the game of golf. I would feel remiss if we didn't talk about the Players' Championship. Obviously, nothing happening in the world of live competitive play this past weekend, so you got to watch one of the greatest events of golf, quote unquote, the unofficial fifth major. But Scottie Scheffeler with the win at 20 under. But you also have the likes of Wyndham Clark, Xander Schauffele, Brian Harman, all nipping at his ankle. Well, not really nipping at his ankles because he had already finished, but competing and driving to the end to try and catch it. And then of course Wyndham Clark's unbelievable pull out, just complete rim job around the entire thing. They said that it touched about 80% of the entire rim of the hole, and it lipped out to not force a playoff. Playoff would have been cool, but very competitive. Pete, did you get a chance to watch the Players this weekend?
No, I'm not familiar with anything that happened. I know I was supposed to do a golf podcast, but I don't. I plan.
Well, I have to ask you again. Do you remember anything? Because you texted me at 7:30 on Friday morning saying that Rory doing something stupid is great for the pot. I think I have my mulligan of the week. I mean, that situation. Why wouldn't you just take the worst spot? It's a stroke or two on day one. Other scenarios, you're caught lying, and everyone, me, will say you cheat for the rest of your career.
Yeah.
That was that tournament. Yeah. So you did catch something.
I did catch some of it. Yeah, that's my bad. I did catch when on day one. I think Rory, who is famously somebody that I hate on this podcast and in real life. When he comes on, we'll talk about that. But what happened was he hit a shot out of bounds. Okay. And this is the great thing about golf. It's like maybe the one sport that I can think of that you can't control. There's a million cameras, but because it's the course is so massive, you can't possibly account for everything. So
everyone's going to see everything.
Rory hit one out of bounds over or under basically a spray painted out of bounds line. And then when he was called on it, he said, "Oh no, I didn't do that. Just trust me. I didn't." And then he said, "Can we get some cameras?" And for some reason, no cameras had a shot of it. And the guys he was paired with were like, "Pretty sure you hit that one out of bounds."
Victor Hovland and Jordan Spieth were just like, Jordan Spieth was like, whatever, man. You're good. Victor Hovland's like, no.
Two guys who you might want to listen to.
There's debates on whether or not they were actually trying to help him out to be like, all right, you want to think about this. Where did it land? we're watching you. Like, the judge is coming. We all have to be under kind of consensus here when he comes up here. They were saying that the other players might have been helping him so he wouldn't get into trouble, but he also the narrative was spinning the other way, that he was just trying to get away with something, and there was an argument.
Well, he was 100% trying to get away with something. And like I said in that text, I don't remember sending that, but if I did at 7:30 a.m. on Friday because I was that fired up, it's like it does so much more harm than good to get that. Like, it's day one, who's already playing well. I think the penalty is that you just have to take a drop from further back. So we're talking about 1 or 2 strokes at the most, and he chose to just, like, I'm going to get the best lie possible. And lie's a funny word, you know?
It was a big headline early in the tournament, obviously, and I'm sure he took a lot of flack from individuals.
What are you doing in that situation?
I mean, at first you're like, oh man, this is what's going on. This is tough to watch or tough to catch up on, and it's just like you see the reactions, you have that initial reaction. I knew that you were be fired up about that. Sure enough, the text on Friday morning at 7:30. Well, you're either just waking up or commuting to work. God knows what you're doing at 7:30 in the morning, but that came through pretty good for me. So I appreciate your transparency and your thoughts on it. And I just had to bring that back. Same tournament, player. So you did catch a little bit of it. Either way, it was a really great tournament. The broadcast, because we've talked about broadcasts amongst LIV, so we got to talk about the broadcast of the players in PGA. Fantastic broadcast.
The PGA knows how to broadcast.
They know how to broadcast. I don't know who their broadcast partners are and specific things. I don't know if it's run entirely by NBC or, the Golf Channel affiliate, whatever it is, but they're doing a great job. They must have been into it for a little while. Other news and events kind of surrounding LIV golf right now. A lot of the players during the weekend did not sleep. They decided to play in Macau International Series on the Asian Tour. No LIV players won. However, John Catlin, secured a victory. Their first win on the Asian Tour, but it did go into really an intense sudden death playoff against David Puig on LIV. So coming up in second there. Kind of going into John's round, he actually on the third round shot a 59, but David had to come in and shot a 60, forcing the playoff in the final round. But again, being able to take a look at this event, a lot of LIV players playing on it. It was strong on the leaderboard. Lucas Herbert, our boy down there, and who ended up winning the Asian Tour, doing. We talked about him in one of the earlier podcasts, where he's got this picture of him wearing a full samurai suit. But just really just embellishing the whole mindset of the Asian Tour. Finished third. Patrick Reed actually came in fourth. Some other notables out there. Tied fifth, Jason Kokrak, Carlos Ortiz, tied 10th. Boy down there on Team Torque, Mito Pereira, Kai Samoja.
It's good to see Mito have a good showing.
Down. What? Say again?
I was going to say it's good to see Mito have a good showing, because Team Torque is such a powerhouse, and you worry about Mito being the
type 14's not bad, Mito Pereira is playing well on LIV. He really seems to be embracing that team mindset. Ian Poulter, tough, tied 41st. Kieran Vincent, though, landing tied 48th out of 65 players. And, I don't want this to be like a rag on Kieran Vincent podcast, but at the same time, I'm just want him to.
It should be.
Maybe I have high expectations. Maybe I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, well, I have a question about this tournament, and you and I, speaking previously, might have some different opinions. I don't know if I love a golf tournament where the winner is at like minus 24, minus 25. I also don't like the tournaments. So this is where I'm offering nothing constructive. I don't like the tournaments either. Like, I know that the British Open sometimes is like famously you might win at like even or one under. want like a happy medium. It's not that fun for me to watch guys that look like they're playing a muni and they can finish minus 24, and it's also not that fun to watch guys that are clearly like struggling out there and win the whole thing at +1. So like some of these courses, I'm just curious as to how they decided. Minus 24 seems like way too easy for a professional golfer.
So you're saying the golf course itself was not at the level that the players should be at because they're scoring so well?
Yeah, if you're scoring that, if someone shoots minus 24 at Augusta, that's incredible. But if you're just shooting minus 24 at a tournament that no one really knows about, it seems invalidated in a way.
Yeah, you kind of look at it like, where are they playing?
Yeah.
Yeah, like Macau Muni?
Yeah, so if you've played Cedar Glen with me, my hometown course.
Beautiful course, yeah.
Great course. Shout out to Cedar Glen. If you're listening, I'd like maybe a free round. I'm curious as to what do you think at your local muni? Maybe not Cedar Glen. Like, what would Jon Rahm shoot at a local muni?
I mean,
over 4 rounds. Would he be 18
Jesus.
under?
I mean, you'd have to think 10. Let's go and just say he birdies 9 holes. He birdies half the field.
I think he's birdieing at Cedar Glen. I think he's birdieing 15
every single hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's what's going to happen. I mean that's a 36 under. So you're doing 24. You're doing at least eight birdies a day. Yeah, you have some bogeys in there and everything else, but yeah, something to kind of consider out there. But at the same time too, you want to give the people what they want. People want to see birdies. They want to see shooters make their shot, et cetera, et cetera. So I think
follow-up question: if you played, who's world number 1 right now? Jon Rahm?
No, Scottie Scheffeler.
Scottie Scheffeler. Okay. If you played either one of those guys at a muni for $1 million, you weren't playing head-to-head. You just said, if you bogey a hole, I get $1 million.
You owe me $1 million?
Would you take that bet? And if you don't, I owe you $1 million.
Well, I'm not in a position to negotiate something like this, but if we're talking hypotheticals...
We're not in a position to play these guys either, but hypothetically.
Hypothetically, yes, I would take that bet if one of them bogeyed, because you never know what's going to happen. Ah, gosh, I you know what? There was like some stat out there too, though, where Scottie Scheffler's played like 24 consecutive rounds subpar. So that's 20 some odd consecutive rounds subpar. That's not like tournaments or like whatever. That's so many. Can you imagine just never be like, yeah, it was a good day. But either way, let's move on to the Mulligan of the week. I think the Mulligan of the week is going to a lot of the guys that missed the cut out there at Macau, specifically Harold Varner III, Graham McDowell, Eugenia Takara, and our boy who's back on the Mulligan of the week list. This is Anthony Kim shooting +4, missing the cut. Danny Lee, Sebastian Munoz, but he withdrew, so you gotta give him the asterisk there. But all those other guys, and Anthony Kim, I'm sorry, but you're back on the Mulligan of the week list.
It should just become the Anthony Kim of the week because he's on it every time, and we
should just update Anthony Kim of the week. What is going on? Pay attention to Anthony Kim. You never know what is going to be there. And I kind of added this in the section of the Mulligan of the week because it's more of the same, but it's also big news out there. We'll blur the images, but obviously, PIF and PGA meeting in the Bahamas this week. Jay Monahan getting together with the likes of Garcia Al-Rumayyan, head of the PIF. You have the player directors down there, so guys like Patrick Cantlay, Jordan Spieth, Adam Scott, Tiger Woods is down there, and they're playing in the Bahamas at this resort course. Apparently, Jay Monahan afterwards today announced that there are constructive conversations going on, and they are looking forward to building a future towards the questions that they must have talked about, like what happens with the LIV players that they want to play in the majors? How are we going to get world ranking points? What's happening with that? What kind of relationship are we going to have in the future? What's the future of team play? All of those questions must have been discussed, but They were all playing out on the golf course. How do you feel about this, Pete?
I feel like any conversation I've ever had on the golf course is it's just like ideas. Got a lot of big ideas floating around. I probably started 14 new businesses on a golf course. It's all nonsense. It's not the best. It's the best forum for a meeting, but it's definitely not the best way to get things done. It's just about shoot.
You also have to wonder too, with like these high stakes meetings, like billions of dollars on the line, potentially, like whatever is going to happen. Like no one's taking notes, obviously, so it could run into a he said, she said. You think that everyone's wearing some sort of recording device while they're out there? They're just like, look, you put this on, you don't talk. This is what's happening.
It's like Snoop Dogg and Starsky and Hutch.
I'd lay it out for you to play it out.
Yeah.
The other thing too is that like part of this, like apparently, like according to reports, Tiger Woods like pulled a hammy or something out there, had to get swapped out for Patrick Cantley to hang out. He was playing with Al-Rumayyan. Yeah. Little quick sub. Tiger's in the clubhouse putting ice on it. Cantlay's in. Cantlay's like, how's your hat fit? But you know, like, what the heck is going on? And then Cantlay's like, so, what do you think? What do you think about these teams, huh? Kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy. Patrick, we gotta have Patrick on the podcast at some point to talk so we can understand like what he actually sounds like when he's talking of the head of a multi-billion-dollar investment fund. Like he's like, did you catch the players last weekend? I was there. Pretty cool.
Yeah. We'll get sorted out.
So, I mean, we'll see it happens. I know that we talked about Jay Monahan last week and just like the fact that he was a joke, and I thought that he was bullshitting, like kicking the can further on down the field. Some players like Rory McIlroy being one, saying like, hey, we'd like to get stuff moving sooner rather than later. Boom. Coming out. Meeting happened on the golf course, but like you said, how conducive is that? How realistic is it going to be for something to move forward? I don't know.
But on top of that, we got a story from Rory on ESPN who said we need to speed this process along, this whole merger situation.
I know. That's the thing. It's like
Rory, I don't want to keep clowning on you every week, but you gotta stop giving me a reason to. It's like, what do you want? Do you not want it to happen? Do you want it to happen?
I think he just wants it to be done. Like he's not involved in anything anymore. He's just playing, focusing on tournaments, and he just wants it to be done with. He doesn't want to have to answer the questions constantly. And because he was so heavy involved at the onset, now he's just not. It's just like, can we be over with this? I hope so.
And now, a moment for our sponsor. A Wink or a Nod Marketing is a new boutique marketing agency specifically designed for small businesses. If you are too busy or simply just don't know how to run social media, build a brand plan, or write copy, go to winkoranod.com.
But moving on, and I put this on really from events in the past weekend because I really do love the Players Championship a lot, but there's a lot of division amongst like who was playing and what was happening in this, and we're part of this, obviously. In my opinion, is the golf fanboyism. All the PGA fanboys were saying that this is now time for the PGA to come back. The broadcast is great, the galleries are great, the stage is great, all the players, the leaderboard, the excellence, this, that, and the next thing. And I was like, look, can't we all enjoy the Players Championship? And at the same time, you have people on the live side doing the same thing, saying like, oh, look at the field, look at this, look at that. We joke about it too, about some of the performers they're getting, which Liv recently signed with a new entertainment company to help bolster who they're going to pick and what's going to happen. But so we'll see what happens with some of their musical and entertainment events moving forward. But at the same time, I think that the fanboyism needs to chill out a little bit and just appreciate the niceties of golf. Like, it's all obviously bred from the same from the same institutional golf that whatever who brought us to the game was first. So I don't know. That's my opinion. Pete, what are your thoughts?
I turned my camera off. I'm sick as a dog right now.
What are you doing?
I'm sick as a dog right now. Can't be seen like this on Instagram. But I totally agree with you. I think the fanboys and the division is like we're missing the point, and that's I think is our point. Like, live it's the same game. It might have one around, but like it's we should just be appreciative that we get more good golf.
And it's definitely entertaining, and I think it's manageable. And I think like this whole just like mindset of like us versus you or you versus them, and like whatever is just kind of silly. But it is entertaining, and the fact that someone says it's not entertaining, like on either side, it's like yes, there's events on Live that are not the best, but there's events on the PGA that are certainly not the best either. So it's like you can't compare weekend to weekend like what's going on. I think if you're looking for a drastic event, you go for it and you watch it and you at least give it a shot. Like when there's an event in a cool destination like Hong Kong, like that was great. To be able to kind of see that and see the people and the investment and in the community and people actually coming out in droves to go watch that tournament. Yeah, you compare it against the Players Championship. Absolutely, that's going to be the situation. It's the unofficial, fifth major of the year. There's going to be that going on. Is it sweet? Yes. Do you want to see more of it? Absolutely. But to diminish every other competitive tour that's out there with some of the biggest names in the world, that's kind of silly. Like, let's just grow up a little bit, boys.
That's the thing about living PGA, which is kind of what I love, is because I'm we've talked about it before. I'm wearing a shirt to prove it. I'm a huge football fan. When the NFL is over, I've watched Canadian Football League games just because I'm just happy to watch football. The difference is in Live, you still get like the top players. If I'm watching Canadian Football League, I'm watching like guys who couldn't quite make it to the best. If there's a Live tournament and a PGA tournament, I'm watching the best golfers in the world. I just get more of it. So I think right. You just gotta appreciate. It's just more golf. It's just bonus golf.
Yeah, just bonus golf. It's the Clash of the Titans, really. Why would you not want to watch that? Yeah, I think it's good stuff. So let's calm down the fanboyism. We are part of it. We do realize that, but at the same time, like the negative fanboyism. It's like don't argue for the sake of arguing when you don't have to argue.
Yeah, fanboyism is positivity. As a fanboy is great. We need more of that.
Yeah, exactly. We want to embrace the fanboyism, which I think is what this podcast is all about. Anyways, going into the approach news, which is really focusing on team news. There's not a whole lot going on as far as team news within the game of golf. The biggest thing out of Legion 13 is Jon Rahm's announcement of his Masters Champions Dinner menu, which is, of course, in collaboration with Jose Andres, world-renowned humanitarian and world-class chef. The menu.
Before you get into the menu, I just want to say that I think it's one of the coolest traditions in sports. I'd say probably number 2. I would say number 1 is don't touch the Stanley Cup unless you've won it. It's a cool tradition. It's a cool thing. Number 2 is if you win the Masters, you get to come back and then choose your own menu, which is amazing. Yeah. So I'm going to put you on the spot here. I want you to read Jon Rahm's menu.
Ooh.
And then as you read it, I'll give you some
Let's pull it up and we'll go through it and actually read some of the items.
But I would like to know what you would have on your menu. I'll go through mine.
All right, you do yours.
First course, I'm gonna have a sourdough loaf of bread cut out into a bowl. I'm gonna make some chili. I'm actually gonna have your wife's chili that she made for us one time we got back from golf when it was cold and rainy. I'm gonna fill that sourdough bread bowl with your wife's chili. That's how I'm gonna start people off. Mm-hmm. Then I'm gonna have Maryland crab cakes as like a in between appetizer, and then it's just gonna be hot dogs.
Now I'm more curious as to like what were some of the most basic menus? Looking at this one. All right, so let's look at it. Okay. So with Jon Rahm's, you have the Iberos, which are acorn-fed Iberian ham cured pork loin. These are all just like some of the starters.
Did you say
Mama Rahm's classic lentil. Spanish omelet, onions, confit potatoes, creamy chicken fritters, confit potatoes. But of course, it's called croqueta de pollo. And first course is ensalada de something that starts with a TXAN, Zanguro. I'm going to go Zanguro, ensalada de Zanguro, boss crab, salad, and potato. And the main course is your choice of ribeye or turbot, Navarro white asparagus. So he's got a ribeye and a vegetarian dish, puff pastry cake, custard for dessert, served in honor of Mr. John Rahm. So, I mean, pretty impressive menu. But as for me,
what about you?
For a starter, I think like if I were just kind of your classic sort of like I would do one with a salad with like a blue cheese crumble and some sort of a bacon topper with like a balsamic vinaigrette. And then for a little bit more hearty of a starter, I would do like a tortellini, like prosciutto dish, which is good. And then for like the snackums, do like a fresh baked pretzel with like a beer battered cheese. You gotta add those in there. And then
when
for
you
the
say a tortellini prosciutto, is that a real thing, or do you just make that up?
No, we make it at home. Tortellini, prosciutto, peas, creme fraiche, like a little lemon zest or something like that. Oh yeah, great, fantastic. The main course would have to be something along the lines of like a some sort of like a what do they call it? Oh boy, it's like a short ribs. Yeah, definitely like a short ribs with mashed potatoes and then like some sort of green bean or like some sort of actually artichoke would be really good, but just like one of those like baked artichokes that's like comes out like an onion.
Best artichoke I've ever had.
What's that?
At your bachelor party, the last night, it was 3 nights. Most people did 2. Last night was me, you, and your 2 brothers. And Taylor made a baked artichoke. My whole life I thought I hated artichokes. That's the best thing I've ever had in my life before.
It's the best. You just dip it in butter. It's like the best thing ever. And then for dessert, I would do McDonald's Oreo McFlurries.
Good choice.
And then that would be.
I think guys would appreciate that more than they appreciate the ensalada de Jean.
Yeah, you never know. And to each their own. So that's going good for Legion 13. Paul Casey with the Deep Crushers, though, coming into this weekend, going into the DP World Tour event, the Porsche Singapore Classic. Paul Casey kind of resurging off of what's happening right now, playing well at Hong Kong, forcing a playoff, coming into a short second. Notably, he got an invite to this DP World Tour event. He has a strong relationship with Porsche, apparently in the past. He's won other Porsche sponsored events, which is like rumored as a why, but he'll start earning world ranking points. You also have people playing in these events like the likes of Shane Lowry, Matthieu Pavon, who's been crushing it on the PGA Tour. Shane Lowry's actually been playing really well. Which I know that you haven't probably finished it, but in the Full Swing Season 2, there's a full episode, maybe 2 episodes, surrounding the Fitzpatrick brothers, and Alex Fitzpatrick is playing in this event as well. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how Paul Casey shakes out, whether he improves, gives a positive outlook for Team Crushers GC as they move forward, kind of moving closer to Miami in a couple weeks. But that's really the biggest thing that I came out of as far as team news goes. Pete, overall impression of Paul Casey, Shane Lowry, Matthieu Pavon, and or Alex Fitzpatrick. Did you end up watching any of the Full Swing?
No. Here's the thing about I have such bad ADHD. Starting a show just seems like a huge hurdle. Like I've started shows and made it all the way to the last episode. Like just can't make it. So I've watched some of it.
What kind of show does retain your attention?
The last show that I watched start to finish was the new season of Fargo.
Oh, I haven't seen that. Is that any good? You watched it all the way through?
Really, really good. I watched it all the way through. That's a ring endorsement. And I'm not saying that because the shows are bad. It's just me. I just can't do it.
Well, I would also imagine a show like Fargo being very dark and like cold and slow dialogue, very intense dialogue.
It's just like, what are you trying to say? That's why I would like it? Because you think I'm cold and slow?
No, that's why you would not like it. That's why I'm confused.
No, it's not. It's a ton of fun. It's like there's some really dark things happening on screen, and then there's just like the dialogue is really great. Was able to watch that, and I liked the first season of Full Swing. I just can't. My problem it's a me problem, not a Netflix problem. When I start a show, I'm like, I'm not gonna be able to finish this. And so
I think I'm just gonna somehow find a way to just reorient this podcast back to the Full Swing season 2, and just continue to keep the conversation going. By the way, if anyone's listening or watching, also other comments, little tasty suggestions as to why Pete should watch Full Swing 2 would be greatly appreciated.
Or any, I know what helped the podcast, but any other comments about like other shows that I should watch might be helpful.
Yeah, that's a good thing. How just overall advice for how to keep Pete entertained and attention undeficit.
Yeah.
We should cut into that. To the 19th hole here, where Pete and I get personal about our golf game. Pete, anything personal you want to share about your golf game at this hour?
Just that I'm a little bit nervous because you have the bigger news, I think, which people are excited about. But when we fly to our golf trip in San Antonio, I have not the best flights. It just shows the cheapest ones. I can't take a carry-on. I just have one checked bag. So I'm hoping that I'm going to put all my clubs in one bag and then stuff all my clothes in that same bag. But I don't have that bag yet, and I'm hoping that's a possibility. So if any listeners have done this before, am I going to be able to pull that off?
One check bag, somehow stuff all of your clothes to the entire trip into.
One check bag.
You get a carry-on as well?
No carry-on. So,
what airline are you flying?
It's not Spirit, but it's the one that JetBlue bought. It's like
Frontier.
Yeah. Yep.
Is it Frontier? That's awesome. They get you one check. You don't get a carry-on. You don't get to bring on like a backpack or
nothing.
Lunchbox.
Yeah. You even find a lunch, put like some socks and underwear in there, but I'm just trying to save as much money as I can because we can take this out in post. But I was reading the text today. One of the courses cost us like $180 to play.
Yeah, we'll find out this. That was one. We have not booked that one. We'll be staying away from that one during our pleasure play.
Yeah, that's I want the listeners to know. April 18th is when we land, which will be the first, I hope, probably live podcast we do.
Yeah, it'll be good to get the whole team together. Yeah, very excited for San Antonio. But rest assured, listeners, if you do have any advice out there for someone who's flying and they get one check-on bag, and their check-on bag is their golf bag, they have no carry-on bag, and they have to pack for a 3-night, 4-day golf trip, what would you pack and how?
Mm-hmm.
For me.
For me.
I think that's way more interesting than my personal golf news. I've finally got a cover for my used Scottie. It is a leather cover that is embroidered silhouette of the Happy Gilmore jersey, the hockey jersey. So very, very excited about that. It's been a long time. I'm always nervous about it, kind of just sitting uncovered since I got it. So now it's nestled tightly with thoughts of Chubbs in my head the entire time. Just all in the hips, baby. Just keep it going.
Now, what do we think that the club head does? Cover.
It puts the ball in the hole.
No, yeah, that's what that. But what do we think that the cover does?
I think that, well, for me, the cover keeps it from bouncing against the other clubs that are uncovered in the bag.
But if that were to happen, worst case scenario,
You
what
would
would
get scratch or a dent on the. I think the worst case scenario would be a dent on the club face, right in the center. So every time you try to hit a ball, you have no idea where it's going.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's
Hey,
golf.
just saying. Also, for listeners, if anybody wants to take note of this conversation and then donate a club head cover to my co-host P. McCoubry to see the results of a freshly covered putter head in his golf game and lower his handicap, please comment below.
Yeah, I all I know is that at our annual tournament, Wakefield versus Saratoga, we sometimes, it's a little mischievous game we like to play when you talk to the guys, you talk to the group ahead of you, and you unbuckle the bag from the back of the cart.
Yeah. We all know
So
this juvenile game. We're all trying to get away from it. Deep down.
when you drive away, clubs fall off the back. You got to turn around, pick them up. Everyone has a good laugh. That happened to me. One guy on your team did that. My driver snapped in half. And Rob did that. Producer Rob.
Wow, the producer of this podcast did that to you?
Producer Bob, yeah. So I'm just not sure, no matter what protection I had, if it's going to save it from shenanigans like that. So I'm just like curious as to what the point is. But if you're listening, comment. Let me know.
Driver has a little more leverage. Either way, that's what not very far removed. 3, 4 years, 5 years removed.
Yeah, 4 years and 7 days.
Exactly 4 years, 28 days, and 13 minutes.
Yeah.
But look at you now. The new driver in the bag, whole new set. The shenanigans are gone, and we're here.
I'm gonna get him back. I'm gonna get him back.
Focusing back on San Antonio, I'm pretty excited about that trip. First travel experience of the year. Destination looks pretty good. Also, any suggestions for when we're not doing the podcast out there on the course, where to play? We're newcomers to the area. If you want to get together and do some golf shots, like, we're more than happy to do that. But either way, I think, Pete, that kind of wraps it up for tonight. You have a great evening.
Yeah.